What's up and welcome back to the channel. You saw the title and now you're here, so let's talk about why I switched in the first place, and then I'll give you my first impressions after having this laptop for the first 2 weeks. Alright, so some history. I've been a Windows user my entire life, and I've had multiple laptops and desktops as well. All of them have been Windows, and I've gotten the chance to both game and work on them as well my entire life. I've also had my desktop PC now for some time, which I've upgraded here and there throughout the years. Now, besides all the home computers that I've had, I think my real journey with computers started when I was going into my first year of university and I bought my first laptop, which at the time I believe was an HP laptop. It was maxed out specs and it performed really well for what it was back in the day. Now, at least thousands of updates later and probably around like 10 plus fresh Windows installs later, here we are. So before I really share my first impressions after having this laptop for a little bit, I guess I'll just go over into some reasons why I decided to change and why now was the time. For one, most high-end work is done on Mac. It has been done on Mac for quite some time now, and I feel like with the new series of Apple Silicon chips and the M1 chips, that's very unlikely to change in the near future. Second of all, I really felt like it was time to step up the amount of creative work that I was doing as well. And like I said, I'm currently on a desktop PC, or I was on a desktop PC, and I had been upgrading different parts here and there throughout the years, but it's really reached the point now where I really should be updating the whole thing and getting a new motherboard and CPU and graphics card as well. So it was really between pouring my money into that and custom building a PC or getting myself a laptop finally. So really a combination of trying to get into higher end creative work, knowing that I pretty much have to custom build a PC at this point, and just being sick of what Windows has to offer really right now in the first place. I knew that it was time to jump over to Mac. Lastly, I've really been following and looking into the M1 capabilities, especially with creative apps like Premiere and Resolve as well, and I couldn't help but be impressed. A lot of these companies are optimizing their software like Resolve and Premiere. Adobe's been working at it and Resolve as well, optimizing their software to work with the M1 chips, and I feel like the more time goes by, the better it's going to get as well. At this point, they've already done several rounds of updates, so I know that it's in a good place right now. Alright, so that's just a little bit of background. Let's talk about how I actually feel about using the laptop now that it's been about 2 weeks since I've been on it and actively using it. So right away, the first thing that hit me after about an hour or two of really sitting with the laptop was the convenience of actually having a laptop again. So for like 10 years now, I've been strapped to my desk with a desktop PC. I've also had jobs which were all full-time at a desk as well. And after being trapped in a single room of my house for so long with a big desktop, I figured it was finally time to change that. So straight out of the box immediately, I was using this laptop on the dining room table. I was putting it on my lap while I was sitting on the couch. I was able to get my work done and do things creatively, but I was also able to go out and sit with my family as well. That's one of the biggest reasons why I went for a laptop as well, instead of, let's say, getting like the Mac Studio, for example, which, yes, is slightly more powerful than this as well if you max it all the way out. But I'll talk about later. I really haven't run into any problems with a laptop, and plus it's not as convenient as having a laptop either anyway. Second thing I noticed right away was the battery life. This laptop has such amazing battery life. It's better than any laptop I've ever owned before and any that I've used in recent history and dating all the way back. I've never had a laptop this amazing with battery before. Besides the incredible performance that this laptop can offer, it also has the battery to back that up as well, which is amazing. Now, if I'm doing intense tasks like editing and exporting and stuff like that, usually this laptop's going to be plugged in anyway wherever I'm sitting, but I've been doing things like intensive tasks like editing and exporting while I'm also sitting in bed at night, for example, and this battery definitely delivers. I've actually edited an entire YouTube video, color graded it, exported it, uploaded it to YouTube, And after all of that, I still had 30% battery left on this laptop, which is amazing if you know how quickly laptop batteries usually drain when doing really intensive tasks. Like I said, usually it's plugged in, but it's nice to know that if I'm ever in a pinch or I'm out somewhere out and about and I need to do some editing or I need to send a file real quick and make some changes, this battery has enough juice to be able to help me out in a pinch. It's very dependable and it's very capable. For lighter tasks such as Photoshop, browsing the internet, photo editing, battery life on this really is all day, which is amazing. If I'm not doing any demanding tasks with this laptop, and like I said, usually mainly like web browsing or photo editing or even Photoshop work and stuff like that, this battery can usually last me like 2 days before I even have to plug the laptop in. Last thing I'll say about the battery though, MagSafe is back and I'm so happy that they included it in this laptop. It really is the best option out there. I've already had it where I don't realize that the cord is attached to me or it's like under my chair somewhere and I go to back out or I walk past the laptop or something, I stand up and there goes the cord flying with me, but the laptop stays put and doesn't come off the table with me. All right, so build quality is another aspect in which I'm so impressed with this laptop as well. Now, obviously we all know Apple is renowned. Everybody talks about their design and everything, but they really did get the look and feel of this laptop down. I love the all metal body. Everything is contained all in one. It's a pleasure not just to work on, but it's also a joy to look at and to hold. And it really is a beautifully designed laptop. Another thing is that it's not bulky to try to fit a bunch of performance in there like a lot of Windows laptops are. It doesn't look like it's been designed by a Mountain Dew slamming teenager either, with just bright colors and RGB lights everywhere. And the best part is that the design doesn't sacrifice performance at all. Now, the screen is absolutely stunning to look at as well. It's got really good resolution. I'll put it up here somewhere because I don't remember off the top of my head what it is. It's 16:10 aspect ratio and it goes to 1000 nits at full brightness and 1600 nits at peak brightness, which means it's capable of supporting HDR and HDR edit workflows. And I gotta say, the speakers in this laptop are definitely the only built-in speakers that I would ever listen to on any device. I don't know how they managed to do it, but the speakers, they don't sound tinny. They have bass to them and they really are such a good listening experience, especially for anybody that's used laptops before. They know that laptop speakers are like one of the first things that you're just like, I don't want to deal with this. Now, if I'm trying to really master sound, I'm either putting on headphones or I'm plugging this into bigger speakers, either with a wire or with a Bluetooth connection. But as far as like messing around, even with like scratch audio tracks or just dialogue sometimes, these speakers really are good. And they're the best I've heard so far in a laptop. Now, last thing that I have to mention are the fans in this computer. It is amazing how Apple did it, and I don't know how it works, but they managed to pack so much performance into this laptop. And I don't think I've ever really heard the fans kick on, even once, except one time actually, after I finished in the middle of exporting like 2 really big projects from this computer, after having done like editing and color grading and everything, and I had both projects exporting on it. It's insane how quiet this laptop is for a laptop, and even for performance type tasks like editing or After Effects, I've really never had the fans kick on, and despite that, it's still pretty cool to the touch as well. You definitely won't be burning your lap with this laptop, especially like if you've had a laptop before, you know how it gets insanely hot underneath. That's not the case for this. The difference between this and my desktop is like day and night. Even just sitting here doing nothing, there was always like this drone of the desktop fans whenever it was on. Sitting here with this laptop now, I can pretty much sit here in a completely quiet room, and I can also go anywhere with this MacBook and have like a completely silent working environment. The only thing is that you can hear is the sound of like my furious typing, but that's about it. And I really don't think you realize like how much white noise it really does contribute to the environment until it's finally gone. Like for example, I've had my desktop PC shut off for pretty much the 2 weeks that I've had this computer, except for like occasionally I'll go on it to game again. But like I said, just night and day difference. So with the switch from Windows to Mac, I feel like I have to spend some amount of time also talking about the operating system. Now, there were a lot of things that I thought I would find annoying with macOS, or I wouldn't know how to find different settings, but honestly, I found macOS to be incredibly intuitive. Also, most of the preference menus in most applications have been very intuitive in settings as well. So Windows, I always found clunky and burdened by clunky menus, and sure, there's an option for almost anything that you want to do, but rarely, if ever, did I find myself using all those options and clicking through all the different tabs in the menus that they had. And the clutter and the needlessly complicated menus really do make it harder for me to actually do something, especially when I'm trying to just like go and get things done. There have been a couple of things that I found annoying, and it's definitely not a perfect operating system. I don't think you can say that any operating system really is. They all sort of have their quirks, but I've always found that a quick Google search has gotten me all the answers that I need like right away. Let me put it this way. I haven't found an option that I haven't been able to locate yet, or something that I wanted to do that I couldn't do, even if it took a little bit of searching to get to the answer. Now, I knew that was going to be an issue anyway when switching over from Windows, because like I said, I have over like a decade of experience into one operating system. Obviously, you get a familiarity and you do things a certain way, and things are different in macOS, but they're not that much different. And I feel like if you're computer savvy enough, you can pretty much find anything that you're looking for. It may be called something different, or it may have a slightly different function to it, but most things that you can do on a PC, you can also do on macOS, hands down. I already have an iPhone as well, so when I logged into my Apple ID, all of my pictures and iCloud stuff came over right away, and I had access to it within a few minutes of being logged onto the laptop. The dock was also something that I had to experiment with at first. I had the dock always showing at the bottom of my screen, but I was having an issue where I couldn't make the windows that I was on full screen, because if you have the dock always on, there's always like an empty space down at the bottom of your monitor where the dock is. It doesn't go below that. Like it doesn't, the dock doesn't just sit on top of your application. It just doesn't extend the window past that point. So I was having an issue where it was always there, and there would always be this empty, wasted space, in my opinion, down at the bottom of the monitor. So that was one of the things that really annoyed me, especially when you have a laptop screen that's this big, since I have the 16-inch model. So now basically I resorted to hiding the dock and it only appearing when I move my mouse down there, it pops up. Or if you press F3, which is the function key, and it spreads all of your windows out, the dock will also appear at that time as well, which is usually the time that I'm actually looking for it anyway. Another thing that's really been kind of a nuisance for me is maximizing Windows to full screen. I know that there's applications that you can download for it, which I'm pretty sure mimics the Windows function of like being able to drag a window to the top of the screen and just expanding it full screen, or doing the half Windows things if you drag them to the side. It just baffles me that there's this little green button on all of the windows on Mac that say it's to expand the window, but none of the applications act consistently when pressing that button. Some of them expand it full screen, other ones will just expand it top to bottom, but not sideways. That one really baffles me, and that's really like the one thing that I've mainly had an issue with. But other than that, I think overall the experience has been very plug and play, and I love that type of experience with Apple. I have the same thing for my iPhone as well. I don't really want to customize every single detail of everything that I use. I just want to be able to open up my laptop, log in, and start creating without many barriers there. And aside from a few settings that I've had to change and tweak and look up and whatever, which is understandable when you're dealing with a brand new operating system that you've never been on, that's pretty much been my experience. Overall, this MacBook has helped me reduce the barrier to being creative. It's cliche, and I know that everybody says it, but it really does just work. The other thing that I've really been loving about this operating system is the fact that it doesn't slow down. I don't know if it's like the behind the scenes or the coding or whatever they use for macOS, but I've had this laptop on, running applications in the background, running applications on standby, and it has not slowed down. Performance has continued to be steady the entire time. I haven't restarted this laptop in 2 weeks, and it's still running effortlessly. Windows always really started slowing down for me after some amount of usage, and after probably about a week of usage, and nothing on Windows ever really feels that smooth or polished after the first week of using it. That fresh OS install, there's like no other feeling to it, but like almost instantly, like I said, it starts slowing down for me. And that's something really that I always hated. And not having random pop-ups for updates literally every single moment of the day has been amazing. With Windows, you'd always be sitting there in the middle of trying to do something, and the little thing would always pop up that you have like 30 security updates or something like that to install, and random program updates, and it would always try to restart your computer in the middle of the day. And then if I hit it to like not do anything at all until I checked it, inevitably there would be some time where I forget to check it for like weeks on end, and then you don't have like security updates and stuff like that. It's just one big headache with Windows. I never understood why they couldn't get that right. I'm always using the computer when it thinks I'm offline hours, and even in the middle of the night, sometimes I edit really late into the night, so it will try to restart it then. And I've had times where I've left projects there that I want to pick up later, and the computer has restarted and I've lost all that stuff. And it's probably my fault for not saving, and also just being, you know, absent-minded, but also that's so incredibly annoying. Now with macOS, they do push out updates every once in a while, but you get like one install and that's it. Like the computer just doesn't bother you or restart or anything like that until the next macOS update comes out. All right, so I guess what's my overall takeaway here? I'm 100% honest when I can tell you that I did not think laptops could be this powerful and this convenient all in one package. And to be honest with you, I really don't think they were until these M1 MacBooks came out. Especially as a creative, I've always sort of had my mind made up as this thing that like, if I wanted to be operating at peak performance, I would have to be on a desktop for that performance, for the power and everything. And so far, doing demanding tasks like video editing, After Effects, Photoshop, I have not had any problems whatsoever. I haven't run into any problems whatsoever, and the convenience, especially the form factor of having the laptop, has just far outweighed everything else for me. I also got that big performance boost I was hoping for from upgrading my system as well. I also did think I was gonna have issues with I/O because it's a laptop and it doesn't have that many ports, or at least it never seems to have as many as you kind of want. But really, so far, I haven't run into any trouble at all. And if I ever do need to expand in the future, it's got enough ports that I can hook up a dongle to one. And, you know, carrying one dongle around with me isn't really that big of a deal, especially since I don't typically need it anyway. There was a small issue where I thought I wasn't going to be able to hook up my soundboard to my laptop as well, but that just ended up being user error, and we got it resolved. After I switched the headphone jack to be an audio input, everything worked out perfectly. Ultimately, I wanted a machine that would reduce the barriers to creativity. If you're a creative and you do stuff daily, you know that you just want to be able to sit down and start creating without restrictions. Restrictions in terms of location, in terms of power, convenience, and this machine really has hit the mark in all of those categories. I haven't really needed my desktop for anything since I've had this laptop. Whenever I want to do something, or I'm in the mood to create or write a script or edit or do any of that kind of stuff, I'm always reaching for this laptop, setting up somewhere in the house, and just creating away wherever I am. Anyway, let me know if you guys are using Windows or if you guys are using Mac, and let me know what your experience has been, especially if you've bought the M1 MacBooks or recent MacBook Pros. Let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the like button down below. We've just passed 800 subscribers and we're on our way to 1,000, which is amazing. Thank you to all of you that have already subscribed and hit the like button on my videos as well. It's really helped out a ton, and I feel really appreciative, and growing this community and channel with you guys has been the greatest experience and has also allowed me to have a creative outlet. So sincerely, thank you to everyone that's been a subscriber already and helped me out a ton. I can't tell you how much it means to me. And until next time, go out there and create something. La da vedere.